Hi, my name is Mark and I'm from the UCSD Makerspace, and today we're going to talk about how to use our vinyl cutter. So the vinyl cutter is primarily used to make stickers and decals. It is known as a drag knife CNC cutter, which means that it has a really sharp knife that the machine moves around depending on your computer file, and it cuts out vinyl. So the vinyl that the vinyl cutter primarily cuts is a two-part material. It has a colored PVC top part, which is adhesive back, and then a paper backing. The machine only cuts through the PVC part, leaving the backing intact. This means that when your machine is done cutting, you weed out the excess, leaving you your decal. And then you use a bit of transfer material to transfer it onto your final surface. And today we'll talk about how to do all this. Vinyl also comes in all kinds of different colors, patterns, as well as different finishes. We have some basics colors available for here. You're also welcome to buy your own and bring it in. If you do so, just please talk to a staff member to make sure our machine can cut it. So when we're ready to cut your first sticker or decal, you're going to need your file either Inkscape or Illustrator on the computer side. You're also going to have to select your color and load it into the machine. Now this machine will cut both rolls and pieces of vinyl depending on what you want to do. We buy our materials in rolls because it's more economical that way. And our rolls are 24 inches wide, which gives you about 22.5 inches of usable space. This is something you want to be careful of because it is easy to design something that is too big. The machine will also cut pieces of vinyl, such as small pieces like this if you have leftover scraps. The machine will measure the piece and tell you how much workable area you will have. Now the first step is that we're going to pick our color and we're going to load the machine. So I'm going to show you that right now. So today we're going to be cutting some stickers out of yellow. So we're going to grab our yellow roll and take off the rubber band. And then on the machine side, you're going to want to make sure the lever is pushed all the way down and insert the roll on the back rollers. Then you're going to want to feed the material through the rollers. So on this machine, there are two little guide wheels. You want to make sure those are over the white strips. Those are your different sizes you can cut. So with our large roll, we're going to push the vinyl all the way over to the left of the machine, or right depending on which way you're looking at it, and sit our guide rollers on those white strips. Once we're happy that the vinyl is loaded in and the rollers are set, we're going to push our lever up. It's going to lock it in. Then on the screen, we're going to want to select roll. Because this is a roll, we're going to hit the enter button, and the machine is now going to measure the width of the roll. Once that is done, the machine would tell you how much usable space you have. So according to this, we have 574 millimeters of usable space, and then you can use the arrow keys to push the roll in or out. As you can see, I have a lot of excess in the front, so I'm going to push the roll all the way out, and then hold down the origin button once I'm happy with that, to set the new XY origin. This means that all of our files will be cut starting from this bottom left corner and then go across the material. When you select roll on this machine, it assumes that the length is unlimited, so the machine will cut as long as you want it to cut. You do want to keep in mind how much material you actually have on a roll if you're cutting something really long. So once you have the material loaded, you're going to want to grab one of our laptops to set up your cut. You want to use one of our laptops because we already have the software loaded as well as the vinyl cutter plugins required for Inkscape and Illustrator. You can also use the vinyl cutter software known as Cut Studio to do basic designs such as text and shapes. So once we have our laptop, we're going to take the USB cord from the machine and plug it into the computer. So once you have the machine plugged in, we're going to open up our file Inkscape. As you can see, I have some basic text right here. You're going to want to set it so that there's no fill and only stroke. Now, once you're happy with your design and also the sizing, as you can see here, I'm about 3/4 inches tall. In Inkscape, you're going to go to Extensions. You're going to go to Roland Cut Studio, and you're going to hit the Open in Cut Studio button. What this does is it's going to load our file into the Cut Studio software, which is the software that controls the vinyl cutter. So I'm going to take a second here to convert the file type. And there you go, you can see our decal is in the bottom left corner of the screen, which is where we want it because that is also where we set the origin on the machine. One thing you can do right now is click the File, Cutting Setup button, and you can see where it says media size. You can hit Change. You can Get from Machine. And what this does is it pulls the width from the machine so you know exactly how much room you have to work with. As you can see here, we have 573.4 millimeters. And on the screen it says 573 as well. The length is set to 1600 meters because that's just a default preset because again, with the roll, the machine assumes it's unlimited. So you can set that as long as you want, as long as you have material on the machine. The rest of the cut settings can be left to default parameters as we have already tested them and ensure that they work with our vinyl. Once you're ready to start cutting, all you have to do is just hit the cutting button, hit OK, and the machine's going to start doing the thing. Okay, so once you're done cutting, you're going to want to go grab your roll. You're going to take this lever, throw it down, and that's going to let you just pull the roll straight out. Now we're going to have to go weed out the excess and then transfer it onto our transfer tape. So you're going to want to see where your vinyl decal is. The first thing I do is I use a razor blade to cut a square around the decal. You could also have done this with the software if you'd drawn a bounding box, which I did forget to do this time. And then you're going to use your weeding tool to pull out the excess. As you're weeding, you want to be very careful to make sure you don't accidentally pull up the leathers, only the excess material around them. You really do want to take your time when doing this to make sure nothing gets moved by accident. And if you're doing decals or fancier designs, it's going to be the same process as text. Cool. Now with the excess in between the letters, you're going to do the same thing using the weeding tool and just pulling those out too. Once you're done with that, and you make sure you got all the excess out, we're going to go grab our transfer material. The transfer material is similar to masking tape, and that's what's going to transfer the decal onto your final object. So the transfer material is this white tape looking like thing, and we're going to tear off a piece roughly the size of our vinyl decal. Now I'm going to stick this on, and you're going to slowly push it together. You want to avoid air bubbles or wrinkles in the material. And use a squeegee here to make sure it's stuck together. And then as you peel off the masking material, you want to make sure all of the text comes with it. And this can get a little tricky, so be sure to take your time. Sometimes helps to try to flex the vinyl away from the backing material. Okay, once you've done transferring your material onto your transfer tape, you're going to be able to take it over and stick it onto your object. I generally will grab my squeegee and let's do it. So the surface you stick the decal to, you want to make sure before you stick anything to it, you clean. So I'm going to use this isopropyl alcohol wipe to clean the surface. And we're just going to line up our vinyl decal by eye and stick it on. You want to again make sure as you push it on, you go smooth and gently to make sure there are no air bubbles or anything. And we'll use our squeegee to really stick it in there. And then just like the reverse of doing the transfer tape, you want to be very careful as you peel this off to make sure that the vinyl stays onto the object you're sticking it to. It can be a little tricky sometimes, you just want to take your time. And there you go. Once you're all done, you want to make sure you run away because you just stuck something to your boss's door.